Alley free. Okay, you guys are... Here's a 4.7's Quark Mini 123 high mode. Out in the very stormy mountains. Rain, snow, sleet, you name it, we got it. This light pretty much rocks. Great beam, very clean. Works with perfect in tint lantern, as you can see. Flashlight time again in the Nutnfancy project. This will be a 3-for-1 special tonight from a company I've talked about a lot because they get so many things right, kind of like these things right here. First up, the Quark Mini AA. Great little light, along with its companion, probably my favorite, the Quark Mini 123. And then the little tiny brother in the lineup, the Quark Mini CR2 version. Yep, awesome little lights. Highly recommended by me here in the Nutnfancy project. Hey TMPers, hello world. Thanks for clicking on the video, taking the time to watch. I'll go through the details on these lights as I see them as quickly as I can. No promises though, I might get a few things wrong. I try. May forget a few facts. I try not to do that. Here we go. Oh, and by the way, it's taken me a while to get to this review. I know, I should have done it last year. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Story of a lot of things that go on here in TMP. You know, we move at breakneck pace. There's a lot of gear to put through the project, and this is one of my recommended items. We saw this, by the way, didn't we, in the 2010 SHOT Show booth review with David Chow, CEO of 4.7's there in Las Vegas. I think he was wearing the Mini CR2 with a neck lanyard. Cool lights, cool lights. The good news is, at this point in time, as you will see as I go through my talking points, I got a lot of experience on these lights, especially in the backpacking adventures you've seen here in the Nutnfancy project summer 2010. And I will tell you first and foremost, the reason I love these lights, starting into the talking points, how's that for a segue, is the size and the weight. For their capabilities, amazing. This one, 1.4 ounces with a Duracell. That's the Mini AA. This Mini 123, 1 ounce. I'm sorry, 1.4 ounces. CR2, an amazingly lightweight 1 ounce. Crazy talk. That's crazy talk. Very light, very easy to carry around in a lot of different methods. We'll talk about that sooner or later. Some guys will say, and this is kind of jumping ahead to maybe versatility and ergos. Form factor wise, you know, they are small and lightweight, but do you prefer these lights against, I don't know, the best pen light as of 2010, maybe to 2011 in the world? Previously reviewed, highly recommended, the 4.7's Preon 2. Man, what a great light that is. I have several of them. Look how sick that is. It's got like the Boba Fett wear and tear on it. Love that blue coloration. That's probably my favorite. Second one would be, I don't know, man. That pink Preon that PFI dude threw out there, pretty sick as well. Kind of a rose color. That would probably be my second favorite, and then the gold, then the black. Here I go, getting distracted. We're talking form factor, size, and weight, though. I prefer this. I do. I like the elongated form factor of the Preon 2. It's easier to carry. Carries deeper in the pocket. Has a pocket clip. The UI is better. I like the clicky UI on it. That's just me. You know, size and the weight's not a factor, but I like the elongated pencil-like form factor. Like I said in the review, it can go into a pin pocket, maybe fit in a few other places that the chunkier lights cannot. Okay, but I think as wilderness lights, these are a better design. Okay, they have a more simple construction. They have less things that can fail on them. You know, there's no clicky switch on them. Very simple. And I don't know where I'm jumping on the talking points. Probably versatility. And let me tell you what I think a wilderness light needs. Okay, and I know you guys may choose this as an everyday carry light, utility light, maybe a medical light. All great and valid POUs for the Quark Minis. To me, it is an ideal wilderness light. But wilderness light needs a good throw. Maybe not maximum throw, but a good throw. Needs to be super lightweight, just like we've established. This one's 1.4 ounces. Needs to be waterproof and then shockproof and very tough. And then I really like all the integrated modes. You know, SOS, beacon, various brightness levels. All very useful for a wilderness light. I may make reference to that as the review goes on. Okay, let me go back to one of those things I just said though. Shock resistance, toughness. Going on to, what do you know, we just got done with the first TP. Construction. How tough are these lights? If you're going to maybe, I don't know, trust your life to it as a wilderness light, it's got to be light. It's got to be very tough and very reliable. I have heard just a very few complaints on 4.7's lights. You know, as I've been doing my reviews, maybe through emails and messages, they'll say, hey, you know, I did have this issue with my light. So my job as a tester is to get out there and see if I can duplicate that. Okay, when I recommend something to you, it's because I have not seen any problems with it, and if I do have a problem, I want to let you know. And I wanted to know if these lights are truly shockproof. So here we go, getting crazy. Here's Nutnfancy getting crazy on you. I took this mini AA single cell version. I was like, dude, I want to see if I can make this thing fail. And the way I'm going to do is I'm going to throw it off an overpass. I called David Chow, CEO of 4.7s. We're talking about some other stuff. I told him, I was like, oh yeah, by the way, dude, I'm going to go ahead and throw one of your lights off an overpass. And he was laughing. He's like, what? I was like, don't worry. I assume all responsibility if it breaks and does not pass. It's going above and beyond in the testing protocol. I realize that. I want to see if it works though. Not just as a reviewer, to be honest, but for me as a user. You know, maybe relying on this, you know, the 1, 2, 3, as I have on some serious backpacking trips. You know, if I drop it on a rock, down a cliff, and then I retrieve it, is it going to work? You know, it's not outlandish, really, that test, to be honest with you. It's not. I've seen some crazy stuff on my trips out in the wilderness. Crazy stuff.
Oh, it's okay.
I want your gear to be tough.
Okay.
Scoped me out a bridge. Took the, oh, by the way, the mini AA drew the short straw on this test. It was like, to be honest with you, it's the one I like the least. Sorry. It's just the way it is. Just because it doesn't go bright enough compared to the others. I still love it. It's an awesome light. Anyways, it drew the short straw. Onto the trip it went. I found me a great bridge. Not technically an overpass, and no, I don't recommend you do this. It was actually dropped on a walking / bike trail about 35 feet below the bridge. I didn't throw it. I just let it drop. Onto the asphalt it went. Bam! Light was turned on when I dropped it, and I thought it was going to fail the test. I thought I was going to, you know, I ran down to see if the light had failed. I thought the glass was going to break. That's what I thought. I was shocked when I picked it up. The light was still on, still working. It had changed modes, by the way. I think I had it on like high beacon when I had it out there. I forget what it was, maybe SOS or something. Strobe. It was probably strobe, and then it changed like high mode. And I was like, whoa, dude, it's still working. You know, unscrewed it, screwed it back on. 100%. This is the exact light that took the trip and fell on the pavement. Fell on the pavement. I didn't do it multiple times, just by way of time. You know, guys will say, oh, you should have thrown off a lot. No way, man. I still think that's a valid test. It passed it once. That was good enough for me. And look at the, talking about construction, it's the Type 3 anodizing. This is after being dropped onto the pavement. Oh, and I did several drops around 6 feet, you know, just right above my head. Just let the light drop to the asphalt, see how it did. Not too scratched up, you think? And it still works, 100%. Great job, 4.7s. So tough? Yeah, I think so. Really tough. Another thing I like to test here in the Nutnfancy project, you guys know this, waterproofness. Time to go swimming with the Quark minis. I actually started this last year. I took the the Mini 123 in the Nutnfancy water testing barrel. I know, it's probably kind of stupid. It's a great test though. I think it's a realistic test like I said in my other videos. And I took it underwater, actuated all modes, loosened the emitter head, swished it around like a lot, pat it under there for about a good 10 minutes, and I couldn't make any water go into it. Okay, passed with flying colors. The 123 did. And pretty much every screw-on UI 4.7s that I have tested in the water has done the same. And I went a little bit further than that even. I found me a swimming pool and threw in a mini in it and took it down to about 10-foot depth. See what it would do down there. Of course it passed. I really wasn't surprised at that at all. And no, I didn't jump in with it at that time. Guys were like, why? Go in the pool, Nutnfancy. Well, first off, I don't know if you'd want to see me in a swimsuit. I'm just saying. Secondly, it was 40 degrees and like raining. I'm not going in the pool for that. Unless, you know, I don't know, to rescue a puppy or something, I'll dive in for that. Pass with flying colors. Great waterproofness. It has the official IPX8 waterproofness. You'll see an annotation exactly what that means. I've talked about it a lot. Great job though. Toughness, some guys may criticize, well, these minis have really thin aluminum walls. Well, I'm about 6 or so months of heavy duty testing into these mini lights, and I haven't noted any problems at all with the minis. I'm talking dropping them off an overpass / bridge, what do you want to call it? Wilderness use, backpacking, dropping it onto rocks. No issues. I ain't seen it. So I really don't think it's a problem, and I prefer the construction as it is because it keeps the weight down. Okay, just me. Construction. Fully regulated, maybe not fully regulated. I think it's like regulated in low and medium modes and then direct drive on high. I could be wrong on that. Either way, I get good battery life, like we'll talk about, maybe show an annotation out of my minis. It's great job. How about, not anodizing, but, what am I trying to say? Oh, the knurling. I think the knurling is excellent on the Quark minis. There you can see a good look at it. God, this camera rocks. I love how it focuses close like that. Like that. Maybe not quite to the level of my favorite knurling job ever, Nightcore D10. Not reviewed in the Nutnfancy project. How come, Nutnfancy? Well, they discontinued the light. I generally don't like to review stuff that's discontinued and create a demand that, you know, can't be satisfied. Guys go out, try to find it, can't find it. This is a great wilderness light as well, and I've used it a lot in the Nutnfancy adventures. Great wilderness light. Talking about the knurling, though, this is the best knurling job on any light that I've seen. Not too aggressive, and yet it does provide some very meaningful traction. Okay? I'm not saying that the mini not anodizing, but knurling is bad. I think it's excellent, just like I said. It's just maybe not quite as good as the Nightcore. Your mileage may vary. By the way, check this out. There's your reflector right there in the emitter head. That's running the xpr-g LED, which is an excellent version, subject to change and improvement as time goes on. Let me speak to that real quick, by the way. I'm kind of jumping ahead. Guys will say, well, dude, I bought this light, and now they've superseded it. You know, and now there's a different, I don't know, emitter head LED in it, and now I'm really bummed that I didn't wait. Dude, don't worry about it. Sorry I'm saying dude so much. Like this is an older Nightcore, and I still love this light. Still puts out an amazing amount of light, very useful. Don't get overly wrapped up into the latest and greatest. The question you need to ask, as I try to show you in my tabletop reviews, just like this, will it meet your needs? Does it meet the quality levels? Does it meet the brightness levels? If it does, don't worry about it. Buy the light, enjoy it for the rest of your life. Something better comes out, that still is a great light. See what I'm saying? Okay, talking about reflector. Orange peel variety because it's mainly intended as an area light. And I think that is a good choice from David Chow and Company. That's what I want out of my wilderness light. It's something that throws over an area, maybe not a pinpoint beam. That orange reflector is going to give it to you. By the way, there's that glass lens that in the AA during the drop test did not break. Nicely done. Sapphire coating on the outside, if I'm not mistaken. Anti-reflective on the inside of that glass. We're talking quality stuff. Construction, waterproofness of the minis is outstanding. On to ergonomics. These are kind of chunky lights. Kind of chunky. You might have to decide if, you know, versus if your money's limited and you're like, well, do I get the Preon? Let me throw the Preon 1 up here, that cool PFI pink color. Check that out. Love that light. You know, which one do I go with? It's up to you. I think they're both capable. Generally, the fatter power cells are going to have more runtime. You guys know that. That's no surprise. And in my philosophy of use, POU, wilderness light, this wins. Okay? It wins because I need something that has good runtime and all the other stuff that I'll say as we go along. I've already said it actually. But in carriage, you know, it does not have a clip. We're talking about ergonomics here. Some guys will think that's a miss, and maybe future versions of the minis, whether you're talking the 123 CR2 or AA version, will have the clip. Rock on. I don't think it's a huge miss not having the clip now, because having carried the Preon 1 around, it's a short light. It does not bury deep in the pocket. It can flip out, even with a clip. It's just that way. We're talking physics here. Not a huge miss. My favorite way, ergonomically speaking, of carrying the mini lights is the one you're looking at right here. Just slamming on the included split ring, perfect split ring by the way, just perfect, stainless steel, clips on easy, not too fat, and it actually does not get in the way, here's an ergonomic thing, of the tail stand. Love the flat base, you know, the twisty UI enables that flat base to exist. Stand it up, tail stand it on any flat surface. But my preferred carry method is just affixing a very short lanyard. This again is a Kelty Trip Tease reflective line, and it's perfect. You can feel it in your pocket, find it if you've dropped it. But Nutnfancy, you're attaching reflective line on a flashlight. Do you have another flashlight to see that reflective line? Actually, I do. Generally, I'm 2 flashlights deep in my carriage. Absolutely in the woods, and generally speaking, in my everyday carry. Okay, so that's my preferred method. You might want to ask yourself what other things are riding in the bottom of your pocket that could eventually scratch that lens of your Quark Mini. I'm just saying, you might think about that. Some other people might prefer the included, as an accessory, neck lanyard. Maybe wearing the CR2, that would work very well off the neck lanyard. I generally don't carry my lights around the neck. I just don't. Generally, I don't like putting a lot of things around the neck, because if you're in a defensive encounter, someone can use that, especially with a lanyard like this that's not break-free one. They can use it against you as a choking tool. Also, I don't like to have metal against my body, my soft pink body, where if it gets smacked into it, I'm talking like in the chest area, you know, region. It's just me. Call me crazy. You can put it on a keychain too, especially the CR2. I think the CR2 version really is ideal for that kind of carriage. On a keychain. Perfect. One thing you might want to think about, and this is going to go back to construction. Some guys may complain, hey, you know, the threads on the minis are kind of loose. Okay, I have to unscrew it to turn the light off to make sure it doesn't come on accidentally. And in doing so, as I wear it on my keychain, I notice the head kind of comes off. And, I don't know, drops on the car floor or whatever. I actually didn't see that. I didn't run it on a keychain. Maybe you guys have done that. You know, David Chow says, you know, to basically unscrew this 1/3 turn. That should be enough to prevent inadvertent actuation. In my experience, that is the key. And I find that to be true. You unscrew it a lot, a couple things are going to happen. You're going to run the risk of losing your emitter head. 2, if you're in a dusty environment, getting the dust down into the threads. There has to be a little bit of looseness in the construction, though, on a twisty UI. UI being interface, okay, for it to work properly. I don't see a problem, okay? But when we're talking about ergos, that's a carry method, throwing it on your keychain. And let's talk about the UI as well. It is not a push button, obviously. And I do like the push button. And the Preon 2, I still think is the world's best pen light. And love that UI. This is generally a 2-handed user interface. But Nutnfancy, you can turn that on with one hand. I know, what do you think I was doing in the water barrel, dude? Exactly, just like that. But it's not ideal. Okay, you can get good at it and do all that stuff, access the special modes and stuff. You know, is it a miss? I don't think so. Again, like I said in the beginning, as a wilderness light, simplicity is key. Fewer parts to break, to go wrong, to get, I don't know, water, sand in them. These are perfect wilderness lights, just as they are. Ergonomics are excellent. As long as you get past a little bit of chunkiness, might bang around in your pocket or against stuff. The tail standing, like I mentioned, is pretty dominating. Next talking point, brightness and throw. I'm going to do this one a little bit different. I'm not going to spit out all the specifications on each light. Actually, starting right now, I'm just going to throw up and throw up. I'm going to put an annotation there in the upper right, the specifications of each light. Okay, you can reference them. I'll throw out a couple numbers as I go because they drive to my favorite. And I'll just say that right now. When we come to brightness and throw, my favorite, and I'm going to say in the POU, jumping to versatility of wilderness light, is of course the Mini 123. This one right here. Love it. Mainly because that thing puts out an amazing amount of light with that xpr-g R5 LED. 189 lumens from one CR123 cell. And, you know, I've heard some other guys running different types of batteries in their minis. I just stick with the primaries, the normal ones. I get really good performance with it. Nothing blows up. Okay, just something to think about. But 189 lumens opens up possibilities as a wilderness light. Okay, let me turn one of these lights off. Put this in max mode. I don't know how old these cells are in these. I didn't really put fresh ones in for the review. There we go. Again, you can't really tell on camera. It doesn't do a perfect job. I'm going to roll in some shots of all these minis as much as I can. Ceiling shots at about 21 feet. Look at the beam pattern first off. The camera is capturing that. How concentric and clean it is. Perfect spill beam. No artifacts. No goofiness. An outgrowth of that orange peel reflector. We already know from previous reviews talking to them that 47s puts a lot of energy in the design of their reflectors, and it shows in every mini light. But getting back to the Mini 123, my favorite version, 189 lumens, that makes searching for a lost dog capable, a lost person. You know, wilderness light may be called upon to save lives. I've said that before in reviews. Absolutely. Look at the spill beam, very usable. That's a lot of power with a single cell 123 torch. Amazing. In fact, it replaces older technology that I was using before. Whether you're talking the Nightcore D10, that's been superseded. Still use it. Still love it. But I'm talking more along the lines of incandescent versions of 123 lights that didn't even put out this much light. And they weigh twice, maybe 3 times as much as this. Also, just as important is the capability to go to a very low mode. Okay, that's, I'm looking at the 123, that's 3 lumens, out the front measured lumens. I got an overhead light on, so that's why you're seeing some other light. Excellent, though. That makes your power cells last forever. And the 123, another reason I love it, 150 hours at this level. The CR2 will be, they measure it in days. You know, 1.2 days is what 47 is saying. And then the AA version drops down to 60 hours. Still pretty decent, though. All of them. My favorite low mode, of course, is in their, I don't know, the turbo line. Previous reviewed, highly recommended here in the Nutnfancy project. This light will go down to 0.2 lumens. Truly a moonlight mode that preserves the night vision, as does this, honestly. I mean, I took this up in Where the Air is Thin adventure. That's why I named my adventure, so I can reference them. You guys know what I'm talking about. And that low mode was just excellent. I mean, perfect. Also used the beacon mode. You can access that by quick turns of the emitter head. There's your strobe, SOS, high beacon, and then low beacon. Does that sequence flash to let you know you're in low beacon. And we use low beacon to find the tint. Of course, we believe in navigating by the stars, and I was teaching my son last suspect, hey, you don't need it. But it was really cool to have the beacon mode. I just strapped this on the tint. Every 10 seconds, it's going to throw out a pulse of light. Remember, I was telling you, those special modes for my POU of wilderness light, very useful. Very useful. And it just functions perfectly. By the way, I don't mean to play favorites here too much. Don't get me wrong. CR2, an amazing light just as well. Same with the AA version. The main reason I'm preferring the 123 version is longer burn times, max brightness. Okay? With very little increase in weight. Now, if we're talking EDC, philosophy of use, I'm jumping to versatility. Not much difference. I mean, any one of these lights will function perfectly. And honestly, the darling child right now with me is a CR2. Just amazing. And any one of these could function. And if you're in an area where you can't find, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 power cell CR2s, you can't go wrong with the AA. My big beef with this one is it only cranks out 90 lumens. Okay, but all of them have just beautiful beam patterns, just like the 123, which I just showed you. Somewhere along the video, I may show you those ceiling shots of all 3 lights. Amazing. Great burn times. Of course, they're going to be affected according to temperature, especially if you're using an AA power cell. And if you take this as a wilderness light, I recommend, as I always say, lithium batteries. Thank you very much. Great job, though. Tints. I'll just mention this really briefly. They'll come out and have come out with different tints, maybe warms, neutral colorations where you need an accurate color rendition for whatever reason. Maybe you're a medical technician. You know, how do I feel about those? I will tell you, I like max brightness, man. Okay, tint aside, again, I'm talking in the POU of wilderness light. I want maximum brightness. Do I need a neutral light in that situation? No, I don't. That's just me. Max power. And right now, the xpr-g is doing it for me. Love it. Modes, user interface, and simplicity. Kind of already covered that. Showed you the modes. It's got, you know, low, medium, high, strobe, SOS, beacon high, beacon low. And the specifications I've thrown in annotation as far as burn times as go. Twist UI is simplicity personified. No pre-flash problems that you'll have to worry about in these lights. Great user interface. Would I like to see a push button version of the Mini? Yeah, I would. Honestly, I think it's going to be hard pressed to replace my Preon 2. Because again, we're talking form factor, slender, slender, carries easily. Your mileage may vary. Speaking of versatility and mileage varying, I think we've talked about this a lot already. It could be a medical light, by the way. One you'd include in your level 2, maybe level 3 first aid kit. Heck, maybe level 1 if you can fit it. Still a little bit chunky, takes up maybe a little bit room. I can't speak, a little bit more room than the Preon 2, maybe. Depends. I think they're great. I think most guys are going to use them as daily carry lights, ADC lights. But one point, if you haven't got it already, that I'm throwing out in this video is wilderness lights, backpacking lights, ones you're going to throw in your preparedness kits, maybe your urban survival kit. Whoosh, they rock. Take your pick. My pick, of course, is a Mini 123 for everything I've just talked about. Track record. Well, the nice thing, again, like I said, waiting on this review is I have a lot of experience. Track record on all 3 of these lights, in my estimation, is perfect. Perfect. I haven't had any issues with it. I mean, freaking dropped this one off a overpass. That's pretty sick. I know I say that word too much. Quark Mini AA. Great track record. Threw them in the dust. I mean, I dropped this thing in our backpack trips several times in the dirt. No issues. Let me test that more in the future. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I showed you this. This is the packaging it comes in. There's this I keep saying CR, the Mini 123. By the way, 47s, love you guys. I love the green packaging. Maybe some guys really like to collect the big boxes because they're flashaholics. By the way, I'm a flashaholic, if you haven't figured that out. I am. Maybe not to the level of real flashaholics, but I don't really need the boxes. I'm saying I'd rather save the pollution and just, heck, send it in a freaking Ziploc bag. I'd be good with that. And by the way, these lights have 10-year warranties, like all 47's lights. If you have a problem with your 47's lights, send it in. Send it in. Did I cover everything in versatility? I think I did. Talked about the keychain light. Vibration, making sure you don't unscrew it too far. All that. Track record, excellent. Cost value. I think it's good for what you're getting. To the uninitiated, and I'm talking about, normal people who are not gearheads like we are, or maybe just outdoor enthusiasts looking for reliable, life-saving gear. I'm serious. This could save someone's life. A searchlight can. They'll say, you pay that much for that little tiny light? Whatever it is, $33, less with discount in certain places. The cost will vary. They just don't get it. They've never used a light of this quality, of this level of reliability. I think the pricing levels of 47's lights as of 2010, very reasonable. Right there in the upper right, my recommended places to go buy these lights. Use the Nutnfancy discount code whenever possible, and I work hard to get those for you as much as I can, as frequently as I can. Great value is what I'm trying to tell you. Great value on all 3 mini lights. The Mini AA, the 123, the CR2. Amazingly tiny CR2. Look at that thing. 1 ounce? Shut up. Oh, by the way, they do come with a few accessories. Extra O-ring, I already showed you that. Lanyard. And, You know, of course, the warranty and the instruction booklet's always included from 4.7. Flying color passage of all the Nutnfancy tests, both through time, adventures out in the wilderness, drop tests, underwater tests. That is my recommendation and review of the Quark mini flashlights. They are outstanding in every way. That has been the Nutnfancy review. Hope you liked it. They rock. See you later.